Well, I'll get us started. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for our Easy Meals with Trader Bryce. Here's our very own Trader Bryce.
Good evening.
uh, Bryce is a member of the Young Alumni Council, and he's invited us into his very own home to cook a couple of his favorite Trader Joe's meals. So my name is Joy Mina, and I am the incoming chair of the Young Alumni Council. To tell you a little bit about myself, I am a double Anteater. I'm an alum of both the Henry Samueli School of Engineering and the Paul Merage School of Business. I joined the Young Alumni Council a couple of years ago after I had the pleasure of attending some events and meeting some really awesome council members and just seeing how much fun it is to connect with other younger alumni and engaging on content that is kind of relevant to the early parts of your career and also networking locally. So for those of you who are wondering, the Young Alumni Council, we sometimes call it YAC, is a volunteer board of about 20 alumni who have all graduated within the last 10 years. And we work really closely with the Alumni Association to put on events, programming, and resources all geared toward alumni who graduated in the last 10 years. So today's event is part of our Adulting for Anteaters series. Usually we have these events in person, but we're really excited to connect with you all tonight and to join Bryce in his kitchen. If at any point you'd like to check out more of our virtual content, I would direct you to the Alumni Association website, where you can find the Anteaters Go Virtual page, and it has a list of all of the virtual content that UCI is putting out, and resources, and some really fun coloring pages as well. So before I hand it off to Bryce to introduce himself, I'd like to say that at any point, if any of you have any questions, there is a Q&A box, and I'll do my best to monitor it as we go. And we're just really excited to get started. For those of you who have wondered, this is not an advertised event. We're not getting paid, but we just are really looking forward to connecting with you and talking about food and connecting and well, let's get started. Bryce?
All right, welcome. Thank you for coming into my home. I'm really excited for you to join us tonight. We're gonna make two very simple and delicious meals. One is a main entree and one is an appetizer. They're really gonna embody what Trader Joe's is. So there are gonna be a few items that are really good by themselves, but when you start combining them, they make something special. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share my screen and you'll see my countertop and we'll just work through this together. The first thing you wanna do is preheat your oven to 450 degrees. That might take like 10, 15 minutes. So you wanna make sure you get started early. And then let's begin. So a little bit about myself. My name is Bryce Roberto. I graduated from UC Irvine in 2015 with a degree in social ecology. I kind of became a Trader Joe's expert while working at the campus location pretty much the entire time I was at UC Irvine. So I got to see a lot of faculty and students, and some of you might recognize me, some of you might not, but let's begin. So I'm gonna share my screen. And this is kind of like an easy oven recipe. So what you'll want is you'll want a really nice cookie sheet. I have one here. This is a quarter cookie sheet. It'll fit into most ovens. If you don't have one of these, you can use a toaster oven tray like this. This one is kind of ugly, so I'm not gonna use it. But what you'll do is you'll line it with some parchment paper or foil, or you can put it directly on here. I prefer parchment paper because it is easy to clean up and it doesn't stick. So you can just kind of lift it out when you're done and dump it into your bowl. So we'll put that here. The ingredients we're gonna be using are the sweet potato gnocchi. It's a frozen item. It's fantastic on its own, but when you add a few ingredients to it, it really makes it special. You can prepare this in the microwave or on the stovetop. I prefer the oven because it kind of gets more plump and it has a little bit of like crispy outside, so it makes it really delicious. So we're gonna combine that with one of two sausages. I have a vegan tofurkey plant-based sausage or a sweet Italian chicken sausage. What I'm gonna do for you guys is I'm gonna put both sausages in so we can see a vegetarian option and a meat option. And then finally, we're gonna top that with some vegan kale, cashew, and basil pesto. So this is actually really good for vegetarians and vegans because it has no animal products. Usually pesto will have some kind of Parmesan cheese in it, and you can't really make pesto without it. So this is a great alternative. So we're gonna put the ingredients to the side. And usually you'd wanna leave your sweet potato gnocchi in the freezer for as long as possible because it has some butter that's frozen. And as soon as you take it out of the freezer, it's gonna start melting. And what you'll need is a nice sharp knife. I'm using a ceramic knife because it's really sharp. And when you cut things, you wanna just use the weight of the knife. And then I'm gonna open this package with some scissors. Kitchen scissors are a great tool to have in the kitchen. That way you're not trying to stab a package and you end up stabbing yourself. I've done it, it's not pleasant. I would not recommend. So I'm gonna do 2 vegan sausage and 2 of the chicken sausage. And this sweet Italian style sausage is fully cooked. So you don't have to worry about cross-contaminating, getting some raw, chicken, pork, or beef on yourself. This is already cooked, really easy. You don't have to really worry about any kind of, food poisoning from it. So I'm gonna cut the vegan sausage first, and you can cut it into maybe like 1/4 inch to 1/8 of an inch, pretty much however big you want it. I prefer my sausage to be pretty large because, it's got a better bite and you get that flavor out. And cut it down.
So
and
Bryce,
vegan sausage, oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was just going to ask you a knife question. Do you remember back in the day when you didn't have a nice set of kitchen knives?
Yes, actually, when I was a very young alumni, I did not have any knives. I actually had one steak knife, and I used that to cut everything. So imagine if I'm preparing, chicken or pork or beef or whatever, and I'm cutting the meat, and I have to use it for vegetables. I have to wash it every time. So I learned from that mistake, and I bought some really nice ceramic knives. And these are, $15 on Amazon. They're very inexpensive, and you don't feel bad if you beat it up. The ceramic knives can go up to a few $100s. You don't need that unless you're, Bobby Flay or Gordon Ramsay.
Would you say that's prime adulting? Getting a nice set of kitchen knives?
Yeah, the thing about adulting is when you start cooking for yourself, only you know what you like. So you're gonna need to kind of try different things out. And when you're in the kitchen, it's possible to fail. It's really difficult, but it is possible. And you just learn from it. Sometimes you overcook something and your meat comes out really dry, your fish comes out really dry. You just gotta kind of try it out and see how it goes. So now I'm cutting the chicken sausage.
I'd say, believe it or not, I burnt some vegetables the other day, Bryce.
Yeah, see, it happens. And, the thing about it is you shouldn't get upset about it because you learn, maybe you're watching a show on TV and you didn't set a timer, you come back and everything's charred. It happens. I mean, it happens to the best of us. I'm not a fancy cook. I just like food. For many years when I was at UCI, all I ate was bean and cheese burritos. I'd buy like the cheapest can from Costco and some shredded cheese. I would borrow some taco sauce from Del Taco, gotta save
Del
money.
Taco. The Del Taco on campus. I think I lived off of that Del Taco for at least a couple of years.
Yeah.
And they were open late.
Exactly. And it's inexpensive and it's good food. So I tried to emulate that at home and then save some money. So now that my sausages are all arranged, you can see they're spread out pretty good. You're gonna take your sweet potato gnocchi and you're gonna cut it across the top. And what you can do when you're putting the gnocchi and sausage on is you can drizzle it with some olive oil if you have it. But if you don't, you have butter in this package. You can look in and see the gnocchi with some nice powdery stuff and just kind of drop it on. Spread it out, try to get all that butter out because that's going to give it some flavor. And you're just going to arrange it so that everything is in close proximity. If that butter melts off the gnocchi, it's going to move over to those sausages. And once it's nicely arranged, you're set. That's the first step. And once your oven hits 450 degrees, you're going to move it over. I already have had my oven on preheat, so it's ready. So you drop it in, and then it's going to cook for 15 minutes. So it's helpful to set a cooking timer. And while that's cooking, you can clean up, you can move your cutting board aside, you can wash it in the sink. What I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare a appetizer. And this appetizer is probably, I would say, the most well-known appetizer in the Trader Joe's sphere. It's really simple. It's 3 ingredients. You have a fresh bruschetta. It comes in this little tub, and it has oil, and it's fresh. It tastes really delicious. You have a feta cheese with Mediterranean herbs, very delicious, and lentils. So, you know, you wouldn't really think to combine these 3 ingredients because individually they're great. And, you know, bruschetta is traditionally prepared with like bread or crackers, but someone at Trader Joe's, some mad genius, decided to combine all these things. And that is, you know, why I loved Trader Joe's so much, because they always tried different things. And in this quarantine, I'm most sad about the samples. I used to get a sample every time I went to Trader Joe's. You know, hungry college students know that you can go across the street and go to campus and see that Trader Joe's and have a little lemonade, maybe a little coffee, and the samples. And now that we're in quarantine, you just don't have access to that. So you're going to want to put it in a big mixing bowl, and it's just 1 to 1 to 1. So you take the lentils and you squeeze it out.
So Bryce, you were just talking about sampling. Can you tell us some tips about shopping at Trader Joe's? Don't they have a policy about letting you sample, or?
Yes, they do actually. So, you know, Trader Joe's has this mindset of they want you to be absolutely happy with your purchases. So you might have seen like some interesting dish or candy or, you know, some flavored nuts, and you say, hey, I really want to try that, but, you know, for $7, I don't want to try it. Well, if you ask an employee at Trader Joe's and say, hey, I've been eyeballing this product for a long time, I was wondering if I can try it, they'll open it, and they have the capacity to do that. They're allowed to do that. And the nice thing about that is, you know, you might try 1 or 2 bites out of something, and they'll take it around the store and share it with others so that they can try it. So they just kind of share in that experience. Obviously, there's some limitations on that. They're not going to let you sample like whiskey, beer, or wine. Although we would all love that, but you know, they just don't do that. And going back to products, making sure you really enjoy it. If you don't like something, let's say you bought something and it tasted just not right, it wasn't part of your flavor palette, you have the right to return that to Trader Joe's. They will take it back, no questions asked. And both of those policies are just kind of for customer satisfaction. So they just ask that you don't abuse it. I mean, if you really don't like something, please take it back. Don't be stuck with a product that is horrible. So as you can see in my mixing bowl, I added lentils, bruschetta, and feta, really simply. And then I'm gonna grab a nice spoon, and you just mix it all together.
So Bryce, we have a question here from Evan, yes, who's asking, can you heat up the lentils? I believe the lentil packaging says to heat them up. Do you heat them up, or do you just put them in cold?
You actually don't heat them up for this recipe. These are pre-cooked steamed lentils. So on the package, it says ready to eat, warm or cold. So you can eat them warm or cold. They're excellent by themselves. This is a good party dish. So you can prepare this, 3 ingredients, throw it together, mix it up, and it's ready to go. So what I have is I have a little plate here. I'll show you. You can just scoop it into a little bowl.
We have one more question, Bryce. Can you just go over again how much you put in of everything?
So for this specific recipe, it is literally 1 feta cheese. So if you look in here, it's
like 1 package, the whole package.
Yeah, the whole package. It is 1 bruschetta, so that's all in there, and 1 lentils. So you don't have to worry about saving measuring packages or exactly. Yeah,
it's killer.
Yeah, it's super easy. You just mix it up, and it goes great with crackers. I think we recommended some Pita Crackers. I have some savory thins. So really, a cracker is kind of just like a carrier of your dip. It's going to be there to like complement with like a crunch, but it's just really a way to, you know, scoop it up and put it in your mouth.
I have been to. Oh, go ahead.
This is a recipe that I've seen at almost every Trader Joe's I've ever been to. I've been, you know, all over Orange County and Southern California, and I've seen these Trader Joe's have this recipe. It's just, it kind of exists, you know?
I was going to say, I went to a party where you brought this appetizer and everyone loved it.
Yeah, it's just super, it's like the flavors are fantastic. It's low effort, and you can really surprise your friends and family. And you just put on a little serving dish like this, and bam, you have a gourmet appetizer, and no one is the wiser.
I wasn't the wiser when you brought this to a party, and everyone loved it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what I loved about Trader Joe's. So, I mean, I worked there for a number of years, and individually things are awesome. Like you could eat the lentils by themselves or combine them with other things. But when you start combining different ingredients that you wouldn't traditionally combine, you get these amazing flavors. And something interesting about Trader Joe's is there are these buyers. So Trader Joe's employs buyers in specific categories and then in specific areas. So there's a buyer that only samples beer and wine. So they travel the world and try these different beers and wines, and they find something special. So if you've had a really delicious wine at Trader Joe's with their label on it, it's because somebody went there, they went to a winery and they said, this is fantastic, I want to have this. And they just work out some kind of a deal. And you can get, you know, $70, $80 bottles of wine for $20. That's a good deal.
So,
and then also oh, go ahead.
Quick question. Miranda was asking how many minutes to leave the gnocchi and sausage in the oven for, just to double check.
For 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
So you'll put the sweet potato gnocchi and sausage in the oven for 15 minutes at 450 degrees. And what that's going to do is it's going to plump up the gnocchi so they'll be nice and fluffy. And then it also brown the sausages. Perfect. So you can, if you don't have an oven or, you know, a cookie sheet, you can brown the sausage in a pan and then put them aside, and then cook the gnocchi as instructed on the packages, and then combine it again. So we have about 8 minutes left of that in the oven.
Let's go back to this wine conversation.
Oh yeah. So I mean, it's like, think about it. They have, Trader Joe's is special, and I mean, I haven't worked there for like 5 or 6 years, but I still gravitate towards it because it's just it's a special place, and they really care about the customer. So like I was saying, like there's buyers regionally. So they actually have buyers that will go to, you know, like Asia and try different things. I actually have this my favorite product right now is called Gone Bananas, and they're chocolate covered bananas that are in the freezer. And I was surprised to find out they came from Thailand.
Do you have some right now?
Yeah, I do actually.
Like would love to see them.
Yes. So this is a great alternative to ice cream. It has, it's just literally a frozen banana with chocolate on it. And it tastes like ice cream. I kid you not. You eat this, you eat like the whole package and you won't feel guilty because it's mostly natural ingredients. They also have chocolate covered strawberries. I ate all of those, so I unfortunately cannot share those with you. But things like that, like just little things, you would be surprised if you just look at the package. I've seen things from India, lots of things from Canada, pretty much everywhere in the world.
Thailand.
Yeah, Thailand.
We were talking about the Thai curry the other day. Really
yes.
Great jackfruit yellow curry. It's delicious.
Yeah, I believe that's in the frozen section. If you really have an opportunity, spend some time in the frozen aisle. A lot of people get turned off by frozen food because of the idea of like adding preservatives, but most Trader Joe's, I think almost every Trader Joe's product does not have any preservatives in it. So it might have some like stabilizers to keep it together, but there's no preservatives. So if you look at, you know, like the frozen chicken or anything, it's just literally orange chicken frozen.
So we have a question from Nicholas who's asking, what's your favorite product from Trader Joe's? It's gonna be hard.
That's hard. It changes, honestly. Like it's never the same thing. One day I'll be like a huge fan of the chocolate covered peanut butter filled pretzels. Those are amazing. You can find the peanut butter filled pretzels on the chip aisle, but with the candies you'll find these. Yes.
That's another level.
Eat a whole bag. Yes. I think for cooking, my favorite ingredient is it's a fire roasted and diced tomatoes with green chilies. I actually have.
I buy those. Those are yummy.
So it comes in a little can like this. I want to say it's like $1.19, very inexpensive, and it just has really great flavor. So let's say you're making like a pasta, you can with a normal marinara sauce like this one. I have the garlic. I think some people will just throw this in a pan, throw some meat in it, and call it a day. But if you combine these two things, you're really onto something special. And that's really kind of what I learned from Trader Joe's is individually, things are fantastic. Together, out of this world.
So Goran is asking, what are you going to do with the pesto? Are you going to use that once you take everything out of the oven?
Yes. So once the gnocchi and sausage come out of the oven, we're going to throw it in a mixing bowl. I have a large plastic mixing bowl set off to the side, and we'll dump in the sausage and gnocchi, and then we'll take half the package of this pesto, and we'll just mix it together, give it a good toss, and then you can add, red chili flakes if you like that, maybe a little pepper, whatever is to your taste. By itself, it's going to be awesome, but you might spice it up a little bit. Personally, I'd probably add a little bit of red chili flakes because I add spice to everything. But really simple. Like you saw that we have an appetizer and a meal in like 20 minutes.
So we have a question from Haley. She wants to know, how did you become so knowledgeable? Did you go through training at Trader Joe's, or is this learned by doing?
So it's learned by doing. So Trader Joe's hires people that are people pleasers, right? So people that are personal. You might go into a Trader Joe's and they all seem happy. It's not a front, I swear. We're all super happy to be there.
I'm happy just going to shop there.
Yes. I mean, they treat the people really well, and then they have like sampling for the crew, because how are you going to be able to recommend a product without trying it, right? So they get new products every week. It would be impossible for an employee individually to try them all, right? So what they'll do is they'll have a tasting for the crew. They call them crew because they're like, all together, and they'll try different products. And that way, when someone says, hey, this is really good, they actually mean it. They're not just told, hey, you need to sell, 20 cases of wine. And by doing that, you expand your palate and you help the customers, and you might recommend. So like, let's say you went in for like this tomato sauce and they're out of it. An employee might be able to recommend a different product.
I've had that happen many times, and it's been super helpful.
Yeah, because there's a lot of things you might substitute. There's like 3 different kinds of fetas. So if they're out of this feta, this is the feta with herbs. You can do a feta without herbs, or you can buy a block. There's also a bruschetta sauce in the grocery aisle. This one is found in the fresh aisles. So if you want to hold on to it for a little longer. They also
I didn't even know there was a fresh one. I always buy the pantry one. I had no idea.
Yeah, so the fresh one is like really, I think the tomatoes are like the perfect consistency. When you have something in a jar, I think they have to cook it, so it just doesn't have that like kind of crisp bite to it.
So we have a comment, not a question. Goran is saying we should start an alumni chapter of UCI alum who worked at Trader Joe's.
There would be a ton. I know many alumni that worked at that Trader Joe's throughout their entire time at UCI. It's a great place to work. You see your classmates, you see faculty. I would see classmates and say, hey, like, what do you think of the test? And it would take them out of their zone, because they're like, what test? Like, why is this guy at Trader Joe's talking to me? But it's just kind of like, it is part of the community, and they always try to make that store specific to that community. Another thing about Trader Joe's you might not know is they hire artists at each store. So each store has 2 to like 4 artists, and they paint all the signs, every label for the product at the store. I love that. Handmade, yeah. So they just kind of like, it just feels like each store has its own character. And another thing is each store has their own mascot or like a stuffed animal. So if you have some kids, a great thing to do is take them to Trader Joe's and say, hey, find, the Anteater, Peter the Anteater, or like I think in Huntington Beach, it's a shark. Depending on where you are, it'll be a mascot that's closely aligned with that community.
I love that. So we have another question from Nicholas, and he's asking, is there any way to ask for a product in stores? I love the Thai peanut sauce and the pre-made salad, but last I checked, they don't sell just the dressing. Is there like a suggestion,
I think you'd have to ask. I'm a little rusty on that, but we have had like fan favorites come back because of the demand. I'm still salty about a product that left 8 years ago. That's my oven going off, but they had this really great bread. It was a bundt bread with jalapenos and cheddar on
Ooh,
it. It was a pull apart. You throw in the microwave for like 5 minutes. I ate it literally.
And they got rid of it?
They got rid of it. So can you imagine? I was heartbroken.
Heartbreak.
The only heartbreak. Yes.
So Bryce, at some point, need not be now, but can you take us to your pantry? Would love to see what you have in your pantry.
Oh yes, it's actually all Trader Joe's products. So don't judge. Like we said previously, this is not a paid sponsorship kind of thing. We just really enjoy Trader Joe's. I will make fans out of everyone that I talk to.
I'm sorry, Bryce. Is this adorable little cushion? Please tell us about it. It's really cute. Oh yeah.
So that is actually a hot pad. So it actually has like cloves and different spices in it.
It has spices in it?
Yeah. So
it smells
doesn't
amazing.
do it anymore. Yeah, but like when you would put a hot pan on it, it would just kind of have this fragrance. And that way you don't have to put your cookie sheet directly onto your counter. Maybe you have like some kind of plastic or
like my hot pad doesn't smell delightful.
Yeah, you know, the things you acquire throughout your adulthood.
This is totally an adulting product, Bryce.
Yes.
Totally. Very proud of you.
I'm a big fan of specialty kitchen items.
Oh,
if
me
you
too.
can find a product that makes your life easier, go for it. You know? Yeah. So as you can see, it comes out. The gnocchi are kind of puffy and a little bit crisp.
Oh, they are puffy.
Yeah. And if let's say you wanted it a little crispier, throw it in for another 5 minutes. You might leave it as long as you want. And, you know, every oven's going to be a little different. So go ahead and try it out. The thing about cooking, everyone fails at least once. Don't be upset about it. And this is where that parchment paper really comes into handy. So you can see I can just lift it all out, fold it like a taco. Oh,
fold it like a taco. So we have another question, Bryce. Miranda is asking, how long does the lentil dip keep? Would you bring it to a dinner party already made or make it there?
It keeps for several days. I think you can make it, you know, the day before and it'd be fine. And it's all like already prepared ingredients, so you don't have to really worry about, you know, a raw ingredient or there's not any meat in it. Feta cheese, I think, is pretty dry, so you don't have to worry about anything like that. So I dumped the gnocchi and sausage into my mixing bowl. I'll get my little cooling tray. See, there you have it in your thing, in your bowl. And this is how you can make a really gourmet meal at home with low effort. And, you know, you might do it for yourself. You might do it for your family. You don't have to tell them that it's 3 ingredients. You just say, hey, look at this thing, and watch them be impressed. And like I said, I started by making bean and cheese burritos. Like literally, that was all I knew how to make. But over time, through experimentation, I learned how to make different things. And like I said, you will only know what you like, and you have to make things how you like it. So once you pour in about half the kale pesto, you just kind of mix it up, give it a good toss. And then let's say you like garnishes, you can put garnish on it, or you can put some red pepper on it. I'm just gonna leave it like this so you can see what it's like. And then I'm gonna plate it so it looks, you know, like it came from a restaurant.
The Trader Bryce restaurant?
The Trader Bryce restaurant, yeah. That's trademark, so don't try to. And you can increase the amount of sausage and gnocchi if you want to feed more people. But it's gonna be like really protein rich. It's gonna have a lot of nutrients, like you have spinach, kale, cashew, so you don't have to eat a lot. If I was really fancy, I'd probably wipe this off with a paper towel, but you know, we're all friends here.
That's okay. So Evan is asking, how much would you say this recipe feeds? Like
this recipe, I would say feeds 2 people that are kind of hungry, or 3 that are, you know, not so hungry. But you could, the thing about this is you could scale it up, right? So you can add 2 bags of gnocchi and all the sausages. I used 2 out of 3 of the sweet Italian style sausage and 2 out of 4 tofurkey sausage. So there you go. You have an appetizer and a meal, and that took 30 minutes.
Ooh, okay. So let's just look at it for a moment. So Haley's asking, what drink would you suggest pairing with this dish?
Ooh,
I'm like, that's a good
interesting.
question.
I would probably do a white wine because it's, summer. We're all kind of feeling the heat. A nice like Pinot Grigio. It has a good flavor, very inexpensive, easily paired with this.
I'd go with Trader Jose's beer. I don't know.
Yeah, so you guys might wonder, why is it called Trader Jose, right? So
I would love an answer,
like,
Bryce.
yeah, so like I said, Trader Joe's has employees that travel the world looking for these amazing products. So let's say they find, like, I think it's Tecate is Trader Jose.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll go to the Tecate factory and say, hey, we want to buy 200,000 units of your beer, and we'll buy it at this price, but we want to private label it. So that's how they get these really great products, by promising a high number. It's kind of like how Costco works.
Totally how Costco
They'll buy
works.
like a lot of units,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll make this amazing thing. So anything that says Trader Joe's on it, or like Trader Jose, different names for different products, it's probably like a really well-known name brand, but just with the Trader Joe's label on it.
So we have a question from Brianna who's asking, will these recipes be posted somewhere so we can refer to them later?
Yes.
Yes.
They will be. And
that was an easy one.
yeah, and if you guys want more recipes, a great resource is traderjoes.com. They have awesome, this is not sponsored again, but they have awesome recipes that you can find, and they're all very simple like this. They also have gluten-free lists. So for our gluten-free friends, they have vegan list, vegetarian, and it will actually be a PDF with all their products that are within that category. So they'll say all the products in grocery that are vegan, all the products that are vegetarian, and so on and so forth. And they're there to help. So if you are looking at a product at the store and you're unsure, like, ask the staff, and they'll probably tell you, oh, we know that recipe, let me take you to it. And super straightforward, super yummy, and you'll be happy to do it.
All right. So Bryce, can you show us your pantry?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Bear with me for a second. I have this crazy setup.
So Goran is saying he thinks we should show this to Trader Joe's and try to get them to sponsor our next adulting event.
Yes.
That would be great.
I agree. I agree. And if you're part of a nonprofit, Trader Joe's also donates goods sometimes. So you can go through them. You can go to the store and say, hey, I have a nonprofit, and we're doing, sending food to the food bank. They'll work with you. And another great thing about the grocery store is they donate all of their like bad products that are not unedible, but maybe damaged, to food banks.
Bryce, do you have a pasta shelf?
Oh yes, here's my pasta shelf. So I went really crazy when it was time for this quarantine, and I bought like 30 pounds of pasta. I've been eating like maybe pasta 2 or 3 times a week.
No shame in that. Just want to throw that out there. No shame in that.
And then like I had probably double the quantity of tomatoes and tomato sauce.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just trying to eat my way through it because, I thought I was going to be locked in here for a month. And I hope you're all having a great quarantine.
So we have a question from Brianna, who's asking, what's your favorite Trader Joe's seasoning?
Oh, okay. So I actually have a couple.
A good one. It's a good question.
I'm going to grab them. So the number one product that I use on all my cooking is this garlic salt. And it's a little bit different. Here, I'll show it here so you can see it.
Oh, thank you.
It's a little bit different than your traditional garlic salt because it also has onion and parsley. So I season everything with this. It's fantastic. You can never put too much.
You can never put too much.
Yeah, and then so that's my number one that I use for everyday cooking. The next thing is this everything but the bagel seasoning.
Oh, I love that stuff.
It is amazing. You can put it on, a
everything.
Bagel. You can put it on anything. Crackers. I've seen some crazy stuff. Trader Joe's now has chips that are everything but the bagel seasoning.
What?
And then for a little bit different, I have this 21 seasoning salute. Oh. So it's like every seasoning you can think of. It's a little bit spicy if you put a lot on it, but it's fantastic. So those are like the main three that I use all the time. And then honorable mention would be a rainbow peppercorn. So it comes in a grinder. I don't know if you guys have used pepper a lot, but when you buy it ground, it starts to lose its like effervescence. So if you have it as the whole pepper, the peppercorn, and you grind it, you'll have a lot better flavor. So this is awesome. It has like white white, black, and red peppercorns, so it has a really diverse flavor.
All right. Well, did anyone else have any other questions? Otherwise, I think we'll start wrapping up and see if anything else comes in.
Well, I appreciate you all joining me in my kitchen. I'm always here to help. Please let us know if you need anything else, any other tips. I'm happy to share recipes.
Okay, we have one more question. Brianna's asking, what do the bells mean? The different bells.
The bells, yes. So the bells are how we communicate with each other. Or they, sorry, I always say we. My heart still belongs to Trader Joe's. But so one bell means they need a supervisor. Actually, no, sorry. One bell means they need more cashiers. So when it's really busy, you hear one bell. That means, you know, employees that are on the floor come forward. Two bells means they need employee assistance. So let's say you bought like 10 cases of wine and you need 3 shopping carts. They will have employees come. So that's the 2 bells. 3 bells is for a supervisor. So it's a lot less obnoxious than someone getting on the intercom and being like, Steve, come to the front. You know, like it just doesn't take you out of the zone.
Okay, so we do have another question.
Sure.
Jeannie's asking, what are your favorite pasta sauces?
My favorite pasta sauces. So this one that I use all the time is my roasted garlic marinara. I use it for pizza. I use it for all my pastas, and I use it for my lasagna. It's really great, has great flavor. By itself, it would stand on its own, but then I combine it with this fire roasted and diced tomatoes, and it gives your pasta like a little bit more body. It's not so liquidy. Kind of thickens it up a little bit.
Do you cook it? Do you cook them first and then add it to your pasta?
So yeah, so what I would do typically is I would make like a meat. I would do like a ground turkey with onions and garlic, season it with the 21 seasoning salute. And then I would, after that's ready, I would drain out the excess fat, add the tomato sauce, the marinara, and then 2 cans of this diced and fire roasted tomatoes. I will add sometimes like 4 cans of this to 1 of this, and it just makes it really chunky. And the great thing about this tomato is you can use it for chili. You can use it for anything. It just has like really good flavor. Tomatoes are a good addition to any meal.
I generally agree with you. So we have one more question from Evan, who's asking if you can explain the different Trader Joe's labels on eggs.
On eggs, that's a good one. So you'll start with your basic like jumbo eggs. You have extra large, but then you also have like brown eggs. So I believe brown eggs are from a different kind of chicken, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong. So then you'll have 2 kinds of brown, 2 kinds of the jumbo white eggs, jumbo and extra large. And then they also have like cage free and free range. So that label basically means that the chickens are not confined. If you ever been to like a big kitchen or a big chicken factory, like the chickens have small cages. So with those labels, it means that it's certified that they have like X amount of square feet to walk around. And then you also have like omega-3 eggs. So I think the way that happens is it's just the type of chicken they get the egg from. So it has a little bit more of that fatty acid is omega-3, I believe. And then I think that's most of them. You'll find, I think each Trader Joe's has about 12 to 13 different kinds of eggs.
It's wild.
So it can be a little overwhelming. If you just go for your regular extra large and jumbo eggs, you'll get them for about $2. Like it's pretty inexpensive.
So Goran wants to know what your camera setup is.
Oh, so I'm actually using a ladder that I've put in my dining room, and I have 2 boards extending out from there, so that one is holding a webcam. So my webcam is here. It's pretty old. It's only 720p, so I'm sorry it's not perfectly
It looks
crisp.
great.
And then I have my phone on a tripod that's plugged into the wall, and I'm using AirPods because I move around and I talk fast. So it's not a studio. I promise you this is actually my kitchen. It would be awesome if I had my own like cooking kitchen, because I would do tons of things for you guys.
So speaking of your cooking kitchen, Monica wants to know if you have a YouTube channel of cooking / Trader Joe's tips.
No, Monica, but I will be happy to start that if you so please, because I really enjoy this, and you know I think cooking is a great way to relax. If I wasn't on this this Zoom with you guys, I'd actually be listening to like music or an audiobook. And I try to do like multiple meals at once because, you know, it can take a lot of time. And as you can see, like I have 2 kinds of sausage left over. I would probably make another pasta sauce with these while I was making this. It's just for me, it's a way to unwind, and nothing makes me happier than sharing food with my friends, family, but in quarantine myself. So.
You know, Bryce, you're just setting us up for these questions as they come in. Miranda's asking, have you ever made this meal on a date?
Not this meal, no. But I have made an entree like this. So for the gnocchi, I added pesto, but you could actually add Brussels sprouts instead, so that you get that green action. Yeah, and instead of adding the Brussels sprouts at the end, you would just put the gnocchi, sausage, and Brussels sprouts on the tray, and then put in the oven, and then you'd have that and just kind of combine them.
So this is my question. Have you made this with the cauliflower gnocchi?
I have actually, yes.
Does it bake well?
The cauliflower gnocchi is actually better when you bake it.
Oh,
There's
okay.
a pro tip that is not on the label. If you bake the gnocchi, it's a lot more fluffy and it kind of gets crisp on the outside. If you cook it in the microwave, they're kind of soggy. They're still good. They're still edible. Don't get me wrong, but when you bake it, it just really brings out that flavor and texture.
Gotcha. So, Goran said he made half and half with the cauliflower gnocchi and the sweet potato gnocchi.
I'm sure that's fantastic. Great. How is that, Goran? I'm sure that's very delicious.
Sounds really yummy.
Yeah, and you know, if you guys want to spice this up, like you can always add like spinach to it. If you add raw spinach to like a pasta, you can kind of cook it down, and it just adds like extra nutrients. Like I said, just add different things, see what works, see what doesn't work. You know what you like, so just add that and try it out and see what works for you.
So we have a question for the attendees. So I'm going to launch a poll, and as I mentioned earlier, we at Yak try to have different topics covered in our events, and we had so much fun planning this event, but we're also wondering what types of events you guys might be interested in the future. So if we could just take a couple of minutes and indicate which of the following topics you'd be interested in. Unfortunately, we didn't have an option for typing in an answer, but if we can do that, and while we do that, Bryce, we had another question that's asking, oh, this is a good question. I wanted to ask you this question. What are your favorite desserts from Trader Joe's? Any unique items we should try out? You mentioned the bananas earlier, but there are a lot of really good desserts.
Yeah. Shoot, that's a really hard question. So the ice cream is all really fantastic. Their ice cream is what you would call premium ice cream. So in order to get that, I guess, denotation, it needs to be like a certain percentage of like fat and cream. Some ice cream makers will actually whip their ice cream, which is, there's nothing wrong with that, but it just doesn't have the same content in terms of fat and things like that. The thing I've been going to most often are the cones. They're called Hold the Cones. I actually have some here.
Oh, show us.
Let's see what I can pull from my kitchen. So, all right. So I like the gnocchi. The mochi. Sorry, I have gnocchi on mine. It's a strawberry mochi. They also have a mango and green tea and chocolate. These are fantastic. Hold the cones. So these are little cones. They're like maybe that big, maybe like 2 or 3 inches big, and
those are cute.
Really delicious. Yeah, they have a chocolate or a vanilla. I like the vanilla because it has a good contrast between the chocolate on the cone and the vanilla inside. What else do I like? Gosh, I mean, you really got to go into the frozen aisle and try it out.
As you know, Bryce, I usually eat vegan, and Trader Joe's has a really good selection of non-dairy ice creams as well. So if anyone's non-dairy, I've probably tried all of them, and they're all really good. Okay.
For
Go
many
ahead.
moons, I had they actually have a chocolate coconut milk ice cream. This is what it
Yes.
looks like.
Mm-hmm.
They also have a strawberry. These
Mm-hmm.
are fantastic. If you ever had a Frosty from Wendy's, I guarantee this tastes almost exactly the same. And you can hold me to it.
They're super good. So our poll indicates that gardening and negotiating skills are top of list, but so we will definitely take note of that. But I also have a feeling maybe some continued Trader Bryce videos might be might also be of interest. So I'll just share the results now in case anyone's curious. Well, I don't think we have any more questions. Bryce, do you have anything else to share?
I just want to thank you all for joining me in my kitchen today. I know this meal is looks really fast and easy, but I promise you it's delicious. And if you do this yourself, you can just experiment and you'll find what works for you. They have like a million kinds of sausage, not really, but maybe like 10 sausage. Personally, I would probably add a jalapeno sausage to this because I
Ooh.
put jalapenos on everything, like literally everything. And then you just experiment, see what you like.
All right. Well, Bryce, thank you so much for inviting us into your home and sharing, some of your tips and your experience at Trader Joe's and being so welcoming and letting us invade your pantry and and letting me just pester you with questions.
I'm happy to do this. Thank you.
I'd like to also really thank everyone for hopping on this call and joining us on Friday night. It was an absolute pleasure having you all here. If at any point you would like to connect with Bryce or myself or anyone on the Young Alumni Council, I would encourage you to check us out on the Anteater Network, also known as AntNet. It is a website dedicated to helping us connect with other alumni. So you just Google AntNet or get to it from the Alumni Association website. So, I speak for all of us and say we're so excited to connect with you all at future events, either virtual events or in-person events. So thank you everyone for attending, and thank you so much for having us, Bryce.
You're welcome. I hope to see you all soon. Thank you.
It was a lot of fun.
Definitely.